Okay. Hey y'all. Happy Friday. Hey y'all, happy Friday. Happy Venus Day. Where is this book? I'm hopping on here because I have some messages and stuff that I want to share. And some new understandings that I've come to in these last couple of days. I usually try to come on here multiple times a week. This week I was dealing with so much anger, y'all. Like the anger was unsurmountable. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? But I honestly feel like it's in the energy because we got Neptune retrograde in Aries. And it has a lot to do with your like spiritual life purpose and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I've been trying to like alchemize it because I'm like, what the hell is going on? But I also feel like I've never really allowed myself to feel anger because I spent like a lot of my life or a lot of my time wanting to be in my other energy because I don't necessarily like being angry. Like I don't necessarily like being mad. Like I'm a peaceful person who likes to chill. I like to vibe. I like good music, you know, and I spent a lot of my life probably because I have my first house in Libra. Hey Callie. I spent a lot of my life trying to bring harmony, you know, to places and to situations and to family dynamics and stuff like that. And so I never really wanted to be angry because like I watched my mom, like I watched what anger did to like my mom and my brother and like how reactive they were, you know, not to say that that's a bad thing. It's just that I wasn't naturally like that, you know. I was very much so like the kid who was like hugging everybody, like wanting to be in everybody's skin, like that type of thing. And so I realized in this last week that I hadn't allowed myself to really truly be angry about anything. And also too, like I went through a period of time when I was in college where I did, and I was just so hateful, you know, because I think that sometimes when you have anger without a purpose or understanding the purpose of your anger, you just take it out on everybody, and it was like very misdirected. And I feel like that period of time, like when I think about people who knew me in college, and like when I see those people, they have a completely different vision or version of me in their head, and I do not like the version that they have in their head because I just was going through something, you know. Oh, thank you, Bree. I appreciate that. So yeah, so y'all know I come on here to share collective messages. I got a lot yesterday, and it's some good shit too. So I can't wait to share it with y'all. I think last time we talked a little bit about, wait, where did we end off last time? Hold on. We ended off with you learn as you practice. Hey Hydra. You learn as you practice and you kind of go through life. And so you're supposed to be living the experience, right? And so I started to channel like what happened to Nolan Wales because he was coming through for me like the day after he passed away or like right after he passed away. But I wasn't taking any clients at the time. Like when I say clients, I mean like sometimes people just show up because they know that I'm a medium or they saw me on social media, and if they pass away, like sometimes they'll come to me. But I have like a system set up to where you can't just talk to me. Like my ancestors will tell me somebody is here, and that for me specifically comes through like clear knowing, and then I'll say like, who is it? And then they let me know who it is, and I'll tell them to come back at a later time, but sometimes I forget by the time that they then came back around. And so I did sit down and kind of channel him. And it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't think I want to share that though. I honestly feel like his family deserves some type of peace, and I hate when people just get on the internet and start channeling into people's energy and talking about things or about people who have passed away without their family's permission. Like that shit to me is weird, you know. So I'm not gonna talk about that, but I started channeling that. But then I got this motherfucking hefty ass message. Look at all these pages, baby. And I wrote it in red because, you know, I was dealing with a lot of anger. And so I've come to some understanding. Look at this, y'all. This was in one city. One sitting, all of these pages. So I kind of want to talk about what they were telling me, because it just changed my perspective on life so much. And so let me tell y'all what I was going through over this last week. And this is why I haven't been posting, because I'm the type of person that if I'm in an emotion that I'm having trouble navigating, I'm not going to post at that time. Why? Because whatever I say at that time is not going to be representative of me. It's going to be representative of what I'm feeling, you know? And so I'm a person who likes to post from clarity. I don't like to post while I'm in the middle of transiting something. And so my spirit team has also talked to me about that too. Like, they feel like I do not owe people my pain. I owe people my clarity, you know? And so not everybody deserves to have access to you while you're navigating something. And a lot of times when we are navigating a heavy emotion, we don't necessarily, like, we're operating from our wounds, not necessarily our heart, you know? So this is what they told me after I came to clarity after a whole week of me feeling like a fire breathing dragon. Like, I literally woke up a maniac the other day, and it was just like, nah, fuck everybody got me fucked up, you know. I was on that, and I'm like, not the people in my life, but just like the spiritual community. And like, because I'm like, Neptune is in Aries, and Aries is in my Mars is in my 6th house, you know. And Mars is not to be played with, but my Mars is in Aries. And so with Neptune being retrograde, it's about your internal reflection on like kind of like where you have abandoned yourself. And one thing you got to understand about Aries energy is that Aries energy does tend to be quick to anger, you know? And so like, I realized I had dealt with a lot of anger. I mean, I had a lot of anger running through my system, coursing through my veins that has gone unacknowledged. Right. And so what happened to me is that all these scenarios started coming up when I start letting the energy in, because I allowed myself to be angry this time. I allowed myself to talk my shit. I allowed myself to just talk about it. Right. And in the process of me doing that, certain scenarios were coming up that I had not really fully processed. And so I started looking at those scenarios, and it was making me angrier. Right. Until I had this moment where I realized, oh, all of these scenarios are popping up because they're associated with this energy, anger. Anger is trying to tell me something, but because I'm so stuck in the details of the experiences that are coming up to try to show me what it is that I need, I am missing the whole fucking point. And so that's when this message came through. So they said, you are not the emotion. You are not the emotion. You are what is witnessing the emotion. Right? And so they was telling me, what's crazy is I asked my spirit team to help me to stay in a neutral place, in sacred neutrality, right? And I didn't understand until this message that sacred neutrality is about letting the emotion exist with you, witnessing the emotion, witnessing the experiences that come up from the emotion, and waiting for it to pass so you can figure out what it is that you needed in all of those situations that you did not get, right? Instead of embodying the emotion, becoming the emotion, and moving from the emotion, sending that text message like, y'all got me fucked up, you know what, I'm blocking my mama and my daddy today. Like, instead of doing that whole hurrah and getting stuck in the details of it, embodying it, owning it as if it is you, it's witnessing it, right? So your inner state is supposed to stay stable. Do emotions move through you? Yes, but the inner state is supposed to stay stable. So they said, you are not the emotion, you are what is witnessing the emotion. And when you can experience it without trying to control it, just let it pass through and feel how you feel without judgment, the truth can arise as clarity. So you have to create space for the information to come through so you know what you need and what you need to release. Because there's always going to be both, right? Meaning like there's always going to be something, There's always going to be your unmet need, right? And then there's always going to be something you need to release, your old self that has kept you away from this need, right? So you need both. A need that has gone unacknowledged in a version, belief, or pattern to release. The old has to go to create space for the new to exist. And since you just expanded your awareness, new opportunities are created and available to you. That's what 9 energy is about. And so if I understand numerology, right? And 9 is the energy of Scorpio. 9 is the completion of the cycle. And what happens at 9, or where people tend to get tripped up in this 9 energy, is that your old self has not fully died, but your new self hasn't fully formed either. And so you're kind of stuck in this limbo place where nothing is really happening because you're going through a shedding of your old self and you're going through a transformation, but the new version of you hasn't come up yet or hasn't been formed yet. And so it's like you're in this place of the unknown, like not necessarily knowing what's ahead of you, which for a lot of us, we feel scared in that place and we'll end up just going back to our comforts. Whereas this is where the threshold you're really supposed to be moving through, right? And so they said, that's what 9 is telling you. This is one version of the death and rebirth process. Your new truth births new timelines, and your old truth or identity dies, so you have no resistance as you continue on your journey. The resistance is the fear of the unknown. A lot of times, why we're experiencing resistance is because we fear what we do not know. And what we do when we are going through this fear is that 8 is Capricorn, love. 9 is Scorpio. 8 is Capricorn. 8 is karmic, is a karmic number. It has to do with Saturn. So yeah. But anyways, so what we tend to do when we fear the unknown is we try to overplan, right? And so we are trying to figure out how to make the perfect step or the best step. And so we start thinking of everything that could go wrong, and we try to make the decision based off of what we think can go wrong, you know, instead of making a decision out of what we actually want to happen, right? And so what they were saying is, see some of us feel the fear and cling to our comforts or our patterns, but transformation is necessary. You've outgrown where you are. And that comfort feels good to a nervous system that feels unsafe. Okay? You need predictability because you have chosen control. Oh, let me go back. Hold on. Let me go back real quick. All right. Your new truth births new timelines, and your old truth / identity dies, so you have no resistance as you continue forward on your journey. The resistance is the fear of the unknown. See, some of us feel the fear and cling to our comforts and our patterns, but transformation is necessary. You've outgrown where you are, and that comfort feels good to a nervous system that feels unsafe. Oh, okay, I get why you say that, because the 8th house is Scorpio. So I get why you say that, why you thought that. But no, the energy of that 8th house is a 9 energy. Okay. So your comforts or control, wait, where am I at? Yeah. So that comfort feels good to a nervous system that feels unsafe. You need predictability because you have chosen control. And control is the side effect of feeling unsafe. So you need to always know. Okay, you need to always know. And the new truth threatens that illusion of safety you've created around knowing. Some of us control through intimidation or bullying or violence. Some of us through interrogation. We need to question, and sometimes until the story fits our own narrative. These are masculine ways to control energy, misusing force. The takers are going to typically use force. Some of us control through aloofness or hiding. We call this mysterious, but it's just an unavailable person. Guarded. They withhold and hold out on showing themselves until they feel safe and you pass their tests. This is where I sit. Always taking notice, but never speaking on what you see until you're done. Finally, a lot of people control through victimhood. They repeat the same stories over and over again, hoping someone will care the way they do. Most of the time, these are people who give up trying or are headed in that direction. Chronic shame for existing. People feel bad for them, so they willingly invest energy because that's what we are all trying to control. The flow of energy. Because it determines the quality of experiences, because each experience is a frequency mirror. A checkpoint meant to give you directions. If you like the experience, keep choosing it. But if you don't, you have to flow in a different direction or make a different choice. Because if you don't, you'll keep having experiences associated with that choice or that frequency. We get tripped up because sometimes that choice is a person. Sometimes that choice is a person. And we have been programmed to inconvenience ourselves to prove to other people that we are good. Moral of the story, you are not your emotions. They are information passing through you, which are using your past experiences to explain what you need to you, the parts of you that you keep neglecting. You never processed the experiences, so the need kept going unacknowledged until it all hit you at once. Because the intensity grows with each dismissal. Every time you dismiss what you need, the intensity grows. You don't stop needing what you need because you refuse to feel it. What to do for headaches for weeks? You probably don't have enough space in your body for the new energy that's coming in. A lot of people who are getting headaches are people who have not integrated or changed or tried anything new. And so it gets stuck coming down through your crown. And so you need to sit in stillness. You need to breathe. You need to connect with nature. You need to rest. All of those things. So they said you don't stop needing what you need because you refuse to feel it. You just get good at hiding it and convincing yourself you don't need it through silence or violence. They say silence through silence or violence, right? Now, either you're going to be quiet about it or you're going to make it everybody else's problem, right? But the truth is, the truth, it needs no proof. It just exists whether you acknowledge it or not. And it will remain until another truth replaces it through self-discovery. You are meant to use the emotions and experiences / thoughts that come up to figure out your truth. Talk yourself through it and feel how you feel. Be honest, but don't do anything about it yet. Meaning, like, don't try to project it onto other people. Don't try to make it somebody else's problem. You are meant to hold it for yourself. Look at both sides of the situation and look for the lesson, because that establishes the new truth. Release the previous choices associated with your old truth. You are not the emotion or the thought. Witness them and see what story lies beneath or what lies buried. Okay? You have to keep your inner state still. Don't attach to the emotion or try to control the emotion as they pass through you. Look at them as internal research indicators. It means the self-discovery process is starting. When you are feeling an emotion, you should think in your head, oh, the self-discovery process is starting. And you should witness the emotion as it passes through you and look at the experiences that are coming up, not because you're going to go punish those people for how they made you feel, but because you need to understand how it made you feel without considering other people so that you can make new choices that are aligned with you, which oftentimes looks like speaking up the next time somebody does that to you or whatever the case may be, whatever your boundary is, okay? Then allow them space to exist. Watch your thoughts. Pay attention to the stories or experiences that come up. Evaluate how you feel about them, but don't become your thoughts or emotions because that clogs you up. The light you are embodying is the truth because the truth is the purest light. It does not hold any distortion. Okay? The truth is the light at the end of the tunnel they are always talking about. The clarity after you have felt it fully without judgment of yourself or of other people, meaning the goal is not to blame anybody. Don't blame yourself and don't blame other people. It is an experience meant to teach you something. And so don't judge how it made you feel because how you feel is valid. The only time it's not valid is when you take how you feel and you make that somebody else's problem, right? Because you're trying to get somebody else to help you to regulate your emotions. And so you need them to validate how you felt so that you feel valid. No, you should feel valid because you was in the fucking room when it happened. Right? So, where am I at? The clarity after you felt it fully without judgment of yourself or others, which means no blame. You just need to notice it and how it made you feel. Right? Also, people are walking and living stories. This is the other thing we need to understand about this. People are walking and living stories. Experience them without judgment. Experience without judgment and discover your truths. But the truths are always about you, not them. The truths you're discovering are your truth because your truth is what tells you how to move. See, we've externalized our truth because we are only operating from an exhaled energy which is searching our environment. But there is also inside or inhaled energy that helps expand our truths. We need both. Truths about ourselves to hold ourselves accountable and make sure that we are moving with self-love instead of self-abandonment. And self-abandonment looks like collapsing your truth to stay in community with other people who hold conflicting truths, right? And the truths about other people to help us figure out if this person is in alignment. Because if you stay around somebody, right, who you know the truth about, you are choosing to stay in that timeline. Okay, so you're trying to figure out through the person, do I actually like where the direction that I'm moving? Does this make me feel good, right? Do I like this timeline, or is it time for me to move towards another set of experiences that are more aligned with me? Are you going to choose your truth out loud? That's what you're trying to figure out when you come into community with other people, right? Because we are all different. We're going to have conflicting views because we have conflicting experiences, right? And so what they were basically saying is that humans are stories that are still in progress, like they are living experiences, and you are meant to experience them without judgment, to figure out what your truth is, what you need, right? Based off of what you're not getting or what's happening in the relationship, or and through you figuring out what you need, then you're supposed to move based off of that. What, do I keep this person in my life or do I not, right? So claiming your truth out loud. You were always supposed to claim your truth out loud. So how do we react to weaponized incompetence? It is not your job to make them understand. You have to recognize when somebody is going to be determined to misunderstand you. They're determined to misunderstand you because they don't want to transform. It's not your job to make them transform. So the only reason why you would even care about weaponized incompetence is because you're trying to get somebody to be a version of themselves that they don't want to be. You have taken on the job of the savior. It's not your job to save them. It's not your job to make them understand. It's not your job to fix them. It is your job to move according to what your truth is. Fix, save, and heal yourself. If they want to act like they don't understand, that's fine. But the moment you start convincing, trying to prove it, trying to get them to see it, you are leaking energy. You are leaking energy. Don't leak energy according to them. Notice and say, oh, this person is not willing to change. Put your lippy in a zippy and move in a different direction. Because if you don't, you are trying to get your worth through other people validating your experience. You don't need them to validate it. You were there. You know what happened. Move according, because that's how you get stuck in them loops, and that's how you get on them emotional roller coasters, right? It's not your responsibility to regulate other people's emotions. It's not your responsibility to help them to understand or to help them to integrate, okay? So is that what you mean when you're saying the living library? Yes, because everything is inside of you. All of the truths, you know that. So I'm getting to this part. I ain't got to this part in the notebook yet. But one thing that kept playing in my fucking mind this week was that scene of Akasha. I've seen like a scene that keeps going around of Akasha saying, I am her, I am this, I am that. I don't know if y'all seen that from Interview with the Vampire, right? And so Akasha is important because I don't know if you've ever seen Queen of the Damned, but Aaliyah played Akasha in Queen of the Damned, right? And so Akasha wakes up, but the last thing she says is, I am the answer. Okay? The answer to all the questions that everybody are searching outside of themselves exists inside of you. You are the answer because you're trying to figure out what your truth is. You're not trying to convince anybody of your truth. You're trying to figure out what your truth is and move according to your truth. I talked to a dog today, y'all. I talked to a dog today because y'all know I do animal communication. Do you want to know what this dog told me? They said humans are obsessed with everybody prioritizing their comfort or being a specific way for them. I live for me. That's what the dog said. Hold on. What else did she say? Humans are in a prison and do not realize it. You don't know how to just have fun and do what you want. You're always trying to prioritize the comfort of other people until you eventually disappear. You are supposed to be living wild and free, not like cage animals, but I rest my case. That's what the dog told me today. Because her owner was trying to get her to be a specific way. And she was like, no, I'm just being me. There is no good or bad. You just don't like that it makes you uncomfortable. But I'm just being me. You know, we should take some advice from the animals. The animals know what the fuck is going on around this bitch. Right? But this was not natural. Wait, what are you talking about? What's not natural? We have been caged, and so all this is us unlearning that. Yeah, right. Exactly. The thing about it is we think that we are in a cage because we think that somebody else has power over us or something else has power over us. For most people, the thing that has power over you is money. If you don't have money, you're not happy. You don't know your self-worth. You don't nothing if you don't have money, if you don't have things, right? A lot of us have taught our worth to the things that we have. And sometimes a lot of us have taught our worth to how helpful we can be to other people. So when we're not helping other people, we don't know who the fuck we are. You know, you are the authority over yourself. And it's because you think that something else has power over you that it does have power over you. Because you're the creator. And so if you submit to that idea, of course you're going to feel like you're in prison. Because something else makes the decisions instead of you making the decisions. Something else has the control or the ability to make the choice, and you feel like you don't have any choices. You do have choices at all times. Whether you know it or not, there is a multitude of possibilities because we're living in a realm of possibilities. It's just that you probably don't like those choices. Those choices don't serve you in some way because the identity you created serves you more. And sometimes that identity is victimhood. Sometimes you don't know who you are outside of being a victim. Sometimes it's chaos. You being addicted to chaos and not knowing, or I'm not even gonna say chaos, I'm gonna say intensity. So many of people are addicted to intensity. And so when it's not intense, when it's not making you overstimulated, you feel bored. And it's like, oh, this person is boring. No, this person is safe. And you ain't never fucking felt safe a day in your motherfucking life. And so you searching for the fucking intensity of it because that's what you have been sold. That's what you are used to. That is your comfort zone, is chaos, because that's where you thrive. And your ego tells you that you can survive this, right? So we just tell ourselves, oh, but I'm not like them, so I'm gonna be special and whatever. And then they bring your ass up and through there because you thought you was different. And I say that as a person who also thought the same motherfucking thing. Okay, I'm not exempt from this shit. I'm not above this shit. The reason why I do this is because I've made it to the other side. I lived it. I understand it now because I lived it. Sometimes you do not understand it until you have lived it. Yeah. So anyways, so let's go back. Okay. Also, people are walking and living stories. Experience them without judgment and discover your truths. But truths are always about you, not them. See, we've externalized our truth because we are only operating from exhaled energy, meaning like a lot of us have exhaled and we forgot to breathe back in, right? And what I mean by that is when we get scared, right? I talked about this in the last live. When we get scared, we push our energy outwards, meaning like we exhale the energy out so we can scan for danger in our environment. Some of us forget to bring that energy back in and scan our body, right? And so we keep that energy outwards, always searching for something in our environment, right? And so you need your environment to keep you safe instead of you creating an environment that keeps you safe, right? You need everything in your environment, the people who come in, all of that to keep you safe because you feel like the power is outside of you because you've pushed all your power outside of you, right? But there is also an inside or an inhaled energy that helps expand our internal truths. We need both truths about ourselves to hold ourselves accountable and make sure that we're moving with self-love instead of self-abandonment, which is collapsing on our truth to stay in community with other people because their truth is either louder or they're a lot more intimidating or whatever the case may have been. And the truths about other people to help us figure out if we're moving in alignment with what it is that we actually want, because people are portals. They are whatever you're experiencing once you start meeting that person. For example, I know somebody, I'm not going to put where it's coming from, but I know somebody that the moment they start dating this one person, their whole motherfucking life went down the fucking drain. Car accidents, getting beat up, all kind of shit. Right? And the person is playing a part in that, in all of these things. And the person keeps choosing that over and over again. Their life has literally turned into fucking shambles. You don't think that the person who came in your life right before all of that shit happened isn't bringing it. Because what you got to understand is we create energies based off of what we believe. Sometimes when we become friends with people who are braced for danger or people who only see what's wrong in life, they be having fucking gangs of energy around them. And then you're having sex with them. When you have sex with somebody, that is marriage. That is what marriage is. And that's why they say you can't have sex until marriage. Because that is the ultimate marriage. So that means you are merging with them. You are merging with a motherfucker that got 7 fucking entities on them. And then you wondering why the fuck your life look crazy. Because of what you chose. You chose that motherfucker with 7 entities because you didn't know your fucking self-worth. Now look at you. So you got to choose something different. And that's why they said, hold on, let me go back. Sometimes that choice is a person. Right? Yeah. If you don't, you will keep having experiences associated with that choice. We get tripped up because sometimes that choice is a person. Anyways. So, everything in life is asking you, are you going to choose your truth out loud, visibly? Do you have some type of incense or aromatherapy going right now? I see moving air. Yeah, I have an incense lit. Yeah. Okay. So everything is asking you, are you going to choose your truth out loud? Because choosing your truth out loud, being visible in your truth, making your truth known, that is you choosing you. That is you showing up for you, right? And that's you moving in alignment with your truth. That's the alchemy part. Bringing your internal knowing to conscious awareness, or what we like to call expression of truth, speaking our truth. We look at speaking our truth as an issue because we have attachment issues, because a lot of us feel unsafe. So the only way to catch our breath or feel safe is if we create the illusion of safety through controlling everything. Meaning, like, if I don't say nothing, everything will be fine. I won't ruin anything, right? So we try to create the illusion of safety through controlling everything, or controlling truth instead of allowing it to exist, because it doesn't go away just because you don't acknowledge it, which is what they were saying at the beginning. We would rather make up answers to make us feel more comfortable and don't realize we live a lot of our life in delusion, especially these last 14 years. If we don't want to accept what is, we will just create something else in our head and live from that place instead of where we actually are. And that's what creates the issue, right? And so that's what they had about that message. Now, I am the answer. Remember, I just said that. I am the answer. Every single thing you're looking for is inside of yourself. You have the answer. You have the control. You have the power to make the decision. You just have to go after whatever the fuck it is that you say that you want. But too many of us are braced for danger, and we're trying to protect ourselves from certain experiences instead of realizing that getting uncomfortable is a part of the thing, because you have to go through the dark to get to the light at the end of the tunnel. If you don't go through the dark where you don't really know, right? Because when you're in the dark, the lights are off. You can't see anything. You're not supposed to see anything, which means you are not supposed to know. You are not supposed to know when you're in the unknown. You're supposed to trust that what you're doing is going to be fruitful, right? And so you're supposed to keep showing up and being devoted until that thing bears the fruit. It's like planting a seed. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't immediately get a motherfucking harvest. No, it takes you weeks before you even see the little thing come up out the ground. Why? Because it needs to grow downwards first. It needs to root downwards so that it can grow up first, right? And so I am the answer. That kept ringing in my head yesterday. I'm the answer. You didn't come here to search for something outside of yourself. This is what they're telling me. Because it was like literally playing in my head. I am the answer. I am the answer. I started chanting it in meditation. And I started feeling energy move out of my spine. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I just sat with it. And they said, you didn't come here to search for something outside of yourself. You are the answer to all of your questions. Information is meant to help you understand how you feel so you can move intuitively or in flow. Everything you want, you can have. You just have to arrange it. Because she said, I will arrange it. I can arrange it. You just have to arrange it through choosing it and refining until you reach the destination. Then they said, I am the proof of this, because I don't know if y'all know this, but I've been 1,000 different persons. I've been 1,000 different versions of myself. I have I randomly was at work one day and decided to move to Orlando, and I was gone within the next 2 weeks. I did have a job set up out there, and I started my own business. I planned it for a year behind the scenes, and then I just popped out with it, didn't tell anybody. It did very, very well. I moved back home for about 3 years, and then I decided I didn't want to be there no more. I picked the date 3 months out and just moved to LA. When I got to LA, I lost the job I had, and it was in the middle of fucking COVID. And now I'm paying double my rent, and I don't have a job. Figured that shit out. I just kept going, like kept showing up every single day, kept trying until something worked itself out. And now I've been here for 5 years, you know. And I'm on business number 4. Now, I had a cleaning business because when I first moved back to Indianapolis, I wanted to work in a law firm. So I kept applying to jobs until I got the job at the law firm. The law firm does not pay as much as sales. And so I was losing money. So instead of going to get another job from somebody else, I just created one. And I started cleaning houses with my friend. And that gave me just like a little bit of extra cushion, you know. And then I also had a clothing brand with my friend as well. I'm not in that, but I used to live there. But I had a clothing brand with my friend called Illicit Muse. And then as soon as we get that off, I moved to LA. You know, it's you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's just you thinking that you can't is the problem. Or you not even being willing to try, which is the problem. Hey, Kiki. And so they said, I can't is an illusion. Okay? I can't is an illusion. It means you refuse to try. Oh, hey, friend. I was just talking about you. It means you refuse to try. Okay? You have given up before committing to something. That's what it means when you say, I can't. You refuse devotion because you believe you are unworthy or inadequate. So instead of risking failure, you refuse to participate. You stop moving or exploring your truth. That's what it means, is that you have stopped moving or exploring your truth. You know what you want to do. You just don't feel like you're good enough to do it, right? And so this is called self-sabotage. You place the restriction or limitation on yourself before an experience can do it for you. This reminds me so much of Aquarius energy. And just hear me out, friends. One thing I've noticed about being in community with Aquarius energy is that if Aquarius thinks that you're going to abandon them and they have an abandonment issue, they will abandon you first. And so people are always talking about how Aquarius is the cutoff king and queens, like they don't even fucking play. They run a strict program, whatever the case may have been, right? But it's really just them trying to protect themselves from being hurt. And so they will push you away before you get a chance to push them away. Same with Capricorn energy. They will push you away before you do it to them, right? And so they don't know what the situation was going to be. They didn't even give it a chance to play out. But before it even got scary for them, they just do it themselves so that they can avoid feeling comfortable. You know, yeah, Saturn's energy. Yeah, the restrictions and the limitations, right? And so a lot of people don't want to risk getting uncomfortable and trying something new in their life. And so they will just put the restriction and limitation on themselves and say, well, I can't do this. They create a ceiling of what they're capable of. I hate that for us, right? And so it's spiritual bypassing is what they said. It's spiritual bypassing, trying to avoid being human or feeling for your truth, because that's the sacrifice. The sacrifice is you have to feel for your truth. You have to feel for your truth. You cannot think your way into your truth because your mind is 10% of who you are. Your mind kicks in when you have fragmented. If you're trying to figure something out with your mind, you are misusing your imagination. You're thinking of everything that could go wrong when abundance is available to you. That's a scarcity mindset. Your mind kicks in when it feels like there is a threat. And some of us have been living in survival mode since we were children, so we perceive everything as a threat, right? And then so your mind tries to figure it out, okay? Which the moment that your mind starts trying to figure it out, that's where the separation happens, right? Because you think something is wrong, therefore you're trying to find the solution when the answer was you. I am the answer. The answer is you. It's not something outside of yourself, right? And so if you feel unsafe, yeah, these lives are recorded. I always post my lives on YouTube afterwards. I was gonna pull up YouTube today, but YouTube was tripping the last 2 times that I was doing it on there. And so since I'm looking at TikTok anyways, I'm gonna just record it on TikTok and upload it to YouTube afterwards. Okay. So anyways, a lot of us in the West who live in the United States are spiritual bypassing because we've only been taught to spiritual bypass. We went to school so that they can give us the answers they wanted us to have, right? We go into work and we do exactly what they want us to do. They give us the rules of what we can do. And a lot of us don't explore nothing outside of that, right? A lot of us don't explore who we are outside of the system that we are in, right? And that's spiritual bypassing, because you cannot avoid being human. A lot of us want to think our way through it instead of just live it to see. And so a lot of us are moving out of concepts and theories, right? Because I'll get people all the time who will say something to me and they feel it so strongly. And I'll be like, well, what experience did you have that made you feel that way? Well, I didn't, but I watched my mama do this, or I watched them. Then why the fuck are you talking about something you haven't lived? If you haven't lived it, you don't know what the fuck you think you know. But in America, we thrive off of opinions, right? You having an opinion about something doesn't mean that it's fact. Until you have lived that thing under tension, you don't know what you think you know. How the fuck you gonna know what the fuck is going on inside of a house when you outside looking through the fucking window? You don't even have all of the fucking view, you know? And so we do that a lot in America, and that's spiritual bypassing, right? We are trying to avoid the uncomfortable, so we just want to think about it. We want to come to a determination in our mind instead of actually having to go through it to figure out what we actually need to know, right? And so trying to avoid being human or feeling, because feeling is the sacrifice. You have to feel fully to know what's true, and many of us avoid it because it doesn't always feel good to discover your truth. It means you have to give up your comfort and your perceived safety. Perceived safety. Things you have tied your worth to, or things you attach to appease your ego or your lower self who hates to feel when it's been wounded because it's trying to survive and protect itself by refusing the uncomfortable and refusing the unknown. AKA, it doesn't want to die. Your ego, which is an identity that you create to feel safe, does not want to die, but it has to die for the new identity to emerge, right? Because one thing you got to understand, and I talked about this in the last live, is that the identities that we create are lenses that we're supposed to look through temporarily when we're trying to discover a truth. The identity was never supposed to be permanent, right? There's supposed to be fluidity in who you think yourself to be, because as you grow and evolve, you become a different person. You're supposed to be becoming a different fucking person. That's why I never understand when people be like, oh, you changed, bitch. Am I supposed to stay the same? That was 10 years ago. Like, no, I'm not 17 anymore. You know, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to evolve. And so your identity is supposed to be fluid. And most of us, our identity is not fluid. We're attached to specific things because we think that it keeps us safe to be anchored somewhere when we're supposed to be fucking floating. How the fuck your boat gonna float when you got the anchor in the water? Right? Which is your identities. And so you need a new identity. You need a new identity. But in order for you to take on this new identity, you have to get rid of the old, because the old is what got you to where you are right now. And if you don't like where you are right now, get rid of that shit. You have to give up the comforts, which means you have to get uncomfortable, you know? So, okay. Your ego is your personality or your identity. It's always analyzing and preparing through logic, trying to keep us alive. Self-preservation, but it doesn't care that you are happy or pleased in life. It only cares that you survive. It's our primal instincts. It has to die every time you change because it was never supposed to be permanent resonance. It was only a temporary lens needed so you would live what you chose under pressure. And when that thing you chose isn't aligned with your truth, you feel it. You can feel it. That's why we need to practice sacred detachment and understand there is not one truth, but many. Okay? Or many possibilities leading to truth. Yeah. Many possibilities leading to truth. Because even when you think something is your truth and you go to explore that truth, you don't necessarily know that that is true until you have lived experiences. That's what's going to tell you if it's true. Right? It's like picking a partner. You don't know if that person is safe, especially not in the first 3 months, because everybody can hold up a mask for 3 months. And so it's like when you start dating somebody, you don't know that they're safe until you start having experiences with them. Then it's like, oh, you fucking tricked me, bitch. Right? All of life is like that. You don't know until you try it, but you cannot control things by not trying, because you're trying to keep yourself safe. A lot of us are just not trying anymore because we're trying to protect ourselves from pain, but you protect yourself from happiness too when you try to protect yourself from pain, because they're both sides of the same coin. It doesn't matter what the experience is, right? The experience is only showing you what you need. And sometimes the toughest experiences show us the biggest things or the biggest part of ourselves that we've been ignoring, right? And so the light after the darkness, or the feeling, is the truth that we're looking for. So you have to be able to hold many conflicting truths at once until you have explored enough or practiced enough to know your truth. And your truth doesn't always have to be someone else's truth. Your truth is unique to you and the wisdom you have gained through living, reflecting, and refining. As long as you live according to your truth, you will be at peace. You will reach this place of inner stillness. But if you refuse your truth, causing inner unrest, right? Because you have spirits in your body, which is just frequency. Don't shame yourself, baby. Don't you ever shame yourself for what another motherfucker couldn't see. Yeah, don't ever shame yourself for what another motherfucker couldn't see. Just because they ain't have vision don't mean that you wasn't all that you thought you were. You know? But anyways, fuck them people. Anyways. But I also told y'all I've been in a very angry energy, so that's going to be my answer to everything. Fuck them people. Okay? But anyways, because you got to understand you are made up of different spirits or frequencies, because spirit is just frequency. And sometimes those frequencies are fighting instead of creating harmony together, right? And so that's what they had to say about that, which was some pretty good shit. That's I am the answer. You are the answer that you're looking for. You don't need somebody else, because the whole point of life is for you to create a life that pleases you, not other people. And so you have to be moving in accordance with your truth, because when you move with your truth, you create soul energy in its highest manifested form. But if you move away from your truth, you don't create as much soul energy. So you begin to burn out. You start to burn out, you know? And so you are the answer. The answers you are looking for have nothing to do with other people and what other people are doing and how other people are receiving you, or if other people understand you. No, it all has to do with, what do you like? What do you understand? And are you going to move according to what you understand? You know? And so next, because I put in the last live, I was talking about Cancer and Capricorn, or I actually not the last live, but I made a video talking about Cancer and Capricorn and like what was going on with the energy right now, right? And I said that Cancer and Capricorn, people please, right? Really, I was talking about Cancer because we have what energy is in Jupiter in Cancer? I know Jupiter is in Cancer right now, but something else is in Cancer. My mind just went completely blank. But the video that I made, right, and I was talking about how I felt like Cancer and Capricorn, like Cancer needs to please other people, Capricorn needs people to please them, okay? And so in me saying that, though, Spirit came through and cleared that up. And they said, no, it's not about pleasing, because that's a Taurus Scorpio thing. That's a me thing, right? It's actually about feeling responsible for other people. And so they said Cancer tries to be emotionally responsible for everybody around them. Meaning like they're trying to do things to regulate everybody's emotions around them, right? They feel emotionally responsible for other people. Or people that they love, really. It's really just people. Thank you, Kiki. I love you, girl, because when I'm lost in that sea, here you come, throwing me a raft. Mercury retrograde is in Cancer. That's what it is. And then we had a full moon in Capricorn. So anyways, they said Cancer is not trying to please people. Cancer is trying to emotionally regulate people, right? Through what they do, okay? Which we can say that for all the water signs. We can say that for all the water signs. But Cancer feels, because Cancer and Capricorn feel responsible for people. That's the thing, right? And so, hold on, peek this. Cancer tries to emotionally, sorry. You know what? I'm gonna take a drink of water because them words don't want to come out. 1 second. All right. Let me see if I can put this together. Cancer tries to be emotionally responsible for other people or people that they love. And Capricorn tries to be financially and physically responsible for the people that they love. And now I have a Capricorn brother. My brother at 15 got a job so I could have shoes and I could have clothes. And my brother was the parent in the house, right? Which me and my brother were both the parents. I was the mama, he was the daddy. My mama, whatever she was doing, she was doing. She was in the motherfucking wind, right? And so they aren't people pleasers. They are the parents of the zodiac. They feel responsible for everybody. They are the parents. Cancer is the mother. Capricorn is the father. And I said, oh, well, duh. Well, duh, obviously. But anyways, so then they said, we stay granting other people power over us by adopting their truths. We stay granting other people power over us by adopting their truth instead of standing in our own or discovering our own. We let their voices live in our heads and overpower our voice, right? So it's time that we reclaim our own voice, because our truth deserves just as much space as theirs, especially in our own fucking head. And so something I was chanting in meditation the other day was my voice matters. My voice matters, right? And I have this energy on the side of my head, in the back of my head, that I'm releasing that came from like a spiritual attack, right? My voice matters. Chanting that in meditation, because you got to understand that you use your thoughts to program the waters in your body. Your water is where the intelligence lies. Your soul energy, when it's generated, it goes into the waters in your body, because we are surrounded by water, whether you know it or not. Even the air that's around you is water vapor. Water is the channel through which we communicate. Everything is communicated through water, right? Because we're feeling beings. We feel, right? And so the frequency is sent through the water, and that's how you know. Like, even when I'm doing psychic readings, all I am is using my waters to feel their waters, right? And so because the water is a feedback mirror, meaning it takes the shape of anything you program into it. You use your thoughts to program your waters, right? And so we used to chant, we used to tone, we used to anciently do all of these things. And it was because we understood that we needed to program our body instead of just watching TV all day, scrolling through TikTok all day, being programmed by shit outside of us. Like, you have to intentionally sit in stillness and reprogram yourself, right? And so I was chanting yesterday, my voice matters. And when I say the release that I got yesterday of energy was insane, because I had not realized how much I silenced myself just to be in community with other people, even when it was hurting me, or just to keep the peace, just because I didn't want to fight, just because I didn't want to come. Like, I silenced myself over and over again to the point where other people's voices are living in my head. And like, when I'm going through my healing journey, it was a point where I like walked past my mirror and I had told myself I was going to let myself be whatever I needed to be during the time that I was going through this healing, because I was dealing like with some heavy navigating some heavy shit, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm a person who goes to the gym often. And so I stopped going to the gym because I feel like I needed to rest, right? I was just trying to give myself that rest. And then I started having these negative conversations with myself about my body. And I was like, well, what? I don't actually feel that way about my body. My body is tea. My body's been tea. And so I'm like, wait, why do I feel that way? And I stopped and I thought about it. And it was because everybody, when I was growing up, constantly was focused on my body and how my body looked, and like tearing my body down, or being like you need to wear this because grown men are looking at you, and making it my responsibility to stop predators from being fucking predators. You know? And so like I developed this weird ass relationship with my body when it was not my shit. That's other people's shit, who feel some type of way about their body because of the sexual trauma they went through. And they was projecting that shit onto me, and I embodied it. And so I was being so hard on myself about my body. And it's like, you know, like I love my mama to death, but like when I was younger, she used to say little shit to me like, I didn't have cellulite when I was 12, or I didn't do this. And it's like, you didn't even have to do that. But it also, my mama is like paper fucking thin, right? And she's been very skinny her whole life. I am not a skinny girl. I got thick ass fucking thighs, a big ass fat ass, and some big ass titties. I love that for me. That's the type of person I wanted to be. That's the type of shit I want to see. I ain't trying to be no skinny ass bitch where you can see my motherfucking collarbone, no offense. But I like the voluptuous, the shit that got some reverberation to it. You know? That's the type of shit I like. But I feel like I couldn't like that about myself, because everybody was always comparing themselves to me, or like feeling some type of way. And on top of that, I'm an athlete, so my body looks nice. And it's just like, if I had that body, I would have did this, I would have did that. But then you say like negative shit about my body, like, do you like it or do you not like it? Or are you just mad that you don't got it? Or like, what is it? Right? And so I found out the relationship I had with my body didn't even belong to me. And I had an eating disorder when I was in high school. I had an eating disorder. And it wasn't even my shit. Right? And that's why you can't let other people's shit live in your head. Figure out how you actually feel about that shit. Don't just keep repeating it because you repeated it so fucking long that now you don't even know what the fucking truth is. You know? Anyways, so my voice matters. That's what you need to be chanting, right? And then they said our ancestors were root workers. They worked with the roots. They worshiped earth energy, and we see that in everything, and we don't realize that that's what it is. And so they gave me examples. Making tea. When you make tea, water is a feedback mirror. You are taking the herbs and putting them in the water, and then you're ingesting them, which is going to go to your other waters in your body and reprogram the waters in your body. And so they would make tea, and they could speak over it, or they just use the herbs. Right? But also the reason why black people season their food. Parsley, oregano, turmeric, black pepper, all of those things are to exercise negative energy. So a lot of the things that we use in everyday motherfucking seasoning our food is stuff to exercise negative energy. That's why we season our food. It don't got shit to do with the food tastes better, which it does. That's just a benefit of it. But the reason why is because they were in the kitchen. Right? And then they don't like to tell you this, but a lot of black people poisoned their masters, killed their masters in their sleep. They don't want you to know that because they don't want you to get into the spirit of rebellion. Right? But they also would put things in their food because they understood the plants, the veggies. Right? So they was talking about that. They also said incense. Incense are spiritual elevation. And so the reason why black people burn incense all the time, lighting candles, that opens up portals so you can talk to your ancestors. Right? Candles are living fucking portals. Right? So it also is a fire offering to the herbs. So if you light a candle, right, you open up a portal for the herb to come through, or the spirit of the herb to come through and do what they got to do. Right? They also talked about the process of us like washing our hair and the attention that black people put on their hair. Right? And how every time wash day is a whole ritual. It's because it's a protection ritual. Also, they talked about how black people clean their house, right? We understood that cleanliness was next to godliness, right? And so cleaning was a form of protection work. Yeah. Now people don't be cleaning their house, and then all that dense ass energy can come through their motherfucking house, and that's why you can't just go up in the motherfucker's house. I was somebody who cleaned houses. I told you I had a cleaning business. I walked into a house one motherfucking time, and I should have knew something was up when them motherfuckers was in the garage waiting for me. As soon as I pull up, they're like, oh, you can just go in. We're going to go run, make a run. I walked into that motherfucking house. I didn't even want to touch the walls in that bitch. And it wasn't nothing in the house. I didn't even want to touch the walls in that bitch. And I said, hell fucking no. I'm getting the fuck up out of here, bitch. You ain't enough money in the world for me to come do what this exorcism you got me fucking doing. So, yeah. But also wearing jewelry, right? Because jewelry is earth's bones, right? Because we make jewelry out of gold, which is stone. You know, out of silver, which is stone. Out of, we use the gems, the emeralds, the whatever. And so when we used to work with the roots, we worked with earth. We worked with earth's dirt. Earth dirt has a specific function depending on where you get the dirt from. Like you go to a hospital for healing, you go to a bank for money, right? And so we work with the dirts, we work with the roots, we work with the herb itself, but we also work with the crystals, right? And we don't realize that gold is a crystal, silver is a crystal, right? Because they're metals. Earth's bones, which we consider to be metals, crystals are metals. Right? Your bones in your body are crystals. Your teeth, these are crystals. Right? Right. And so also our need to take a bath. Now I will say this, down south, my dad does not take showers. He's never taken, like the only time he's taken a shower is if he was in a hotel room. But even then he will bring his own cleaning supply, scrub the fucking tub down, and he sits in the tub every single night. Every single day, and he's in the tub for like an hour, and he's been like that since he was a child, you know. But spiritual baths, we don't realize putting yourself back in the water so you can emotionally discharge the energy. My dad is a Pisces moon, Aquarius sun, Pisces moon. So, you know, when you're a water sign, you love the water, you need the water, you breathe the water, you know. And so they were saying that we had a relationship with the roots. This is why we burn incense. This is why we season our food. We take baths. We wash our hair too, because like some of the seasonings that we use are really, really good as well when it comes to like spiritual protection. When it comes to, a lot of it is protective stuff though. What I've noticed about what we use and what we put like in almost all of our food, a lot of that shit has to do with protection. A lot of that shit has to do with exercising energy, like heavy energy, you know? And so it's okay to be a shower girly, you know, like I just would take a bath at least once a week, or at least once every 2 weeks, because when you submerge yourself, because you came from the water, your mama's water had to break for you to be here. And we are water-based beings, you know? And so getting yourself back in the water will allow, because water is a feedback mirror. So whatever you put in the water becomes. And so if you're dealing with a lot of heavy emotions, if you put yourself in the water will take it from you, you know? So, I'll tell y'all like what herbs and stuff. Fasting is really, really good because it clears your crown. And so we should be in a fasted state. We're not supposed to eat 3 meals a day. We're supposed to eat when we get hungry, but most of us don't do that because of colonization. Before they came over here and colonized, we would just eat whenever we felt hungry. And then they put us on this 3 meals a day, because if they can keep your digestive system overstimulated, then you're going to struggle to process information, because you don't only just process food with your digestive system, you process information and life force energy, which is your creative energy. And so if it's backed up because it's constantly working and never gets to rest, right? It never gets to rest, which rest is the healing state, then you're going to struggle to integrate the experiences that you are having. You know, and so everything that's done in America was specifically designed. I genuinely feel like America was an experiment. Even when it comes to like hospitals and stuff like that. I've been thinking about this a lot, right? Because they was talking about like, I just been reading up on stuff about like MK Ultra and stuff like that. And like also how they use like kids that go into foster care for experiments, right? And so I've been looking into that shit, and I feel like America cares a lot about telling us what's going on in consent, because they have been, America are the scientists. They fled from Europe because they did not want to deal with religion, which deals in the mysteries, the unseen, right? Anymore. They wanted to try to prove what exists. And if you can't prove it, it doesn't exist. That's what America says. So America is the birthplace of science, right? And so a lot of what happens to Americans is scientific. And so I think when they go into hospital, they're not actually trying to heal us. They are doing experiments to figure out our genetic makeup. And that's why they be stealing. If you got O negative blood, all of a sudden they taking more blood than you need to, and you got to ask them what's going on. They're like, oh, it's okay. We won't need to take any more if you push back on them, right? It's because they're experimenting on us. They've been experimenting on us since we got to this bitch. And that's why they had us doing all those sound tests in school and shit like that. They've been experimenting on us the whole time. And then they create genetic weapons like measles, mumps, and rubella to inject us with. And that's why right after kids get the MMR shot, they end up having autism. They end up banging their fucking head. Don't even get me started. It's a whole study about this, by the way. There's also a study that if you fast for 21 days, almost every single disease in your body will be gone. Just spring water. But that's another story for another day. But anyways, also like all of that is all of what I was talking about, cleaning our homes, wearing jewelry, and even also too, the arm you wear your jewelry on and putting jewelry on your ankles protects you on your path. Putting it on your arms is the energy you're pushing out, the energy you're receiving, right? And so everything they used to do, earrings as well, protection for these portals, necklaces, protecting your neck, but specifically back here, but protecting your neck, and they would adorn them, right? And so everything that I get people all the time saying, I don't know where to start. You know, but you already have, it's in your epigenetics. You are already doing the things. It's nothing different than what you're doing. You're just doing it more intentionally. You know, we think spirituality is separate from being human. It's not. It's not separate from being human. It is a part of you being human. And so you already do the things. Yes, our body is the altar, or I like to say sacred temple. You know, you're responsible for your sacred temple, but also another sacred temple outside of your body, because as above, so below is your house. You have to take care of your house just as much as you take care of your body, because it's the structure that your energy is flowing through. Your energy flows through your body. It flows through your home. It flows through your bank account. You know, so also what you do for work is a sacred temple, right? But I digress. That's what I have for y'all. That's what they was telling me in these last couple of days. That's the tea. I hope that it was helpful because I feel like they ate that up, you know? Yep, copper is Venus. Yep. So is rose gold. You're welcome. But yeah, I'm just going to keep hopping on here and sharing like the channel messages that I'm getting because it's based off of like what's happening with me, but I'm wide open. Meaning like I only really have my identity solidified and my life force energy solidified. All of my other channels are wide open, which means that I channel for the collective and recode for the collective all the time. And so a lot of times what I'm feeling does not belong to me. It belongs to what we are navigating on a collective level. And that's why I like to sit down and write that stuff down and just talk about it, you know, in real time. Because I also feel like, you know, like one thing that I realized last week, like, well, not even last week, it was like 2 weeks ago. There was a lot of people posting about the astrology coming up. Like, and they was talking about, oh, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. And I think that's good and dandy. And it's based off of like pattern recognition and information. But technically, you don't really know what the energy is until you get inside of it. You know, and so I don't like to post before something happens. I like to let it happen. And then the next day I post about it because now I'm in the energy. Now I see what's going on. I can feel what's going on. Because, you know, one thing about a Taurus or any of the earth signs is we live through our body. We feel everything. We're never disconnected from earth as an earth sign because earth is a feeling being like you are, you know? And so one thing about an earth sign is that we feel everything. And so there's never, baby, we got our finger on what the fuck is going on. And we have always had our finger on what the fuck is going on. You know, where have I been? I've been right here, boo. I've been trying to go live more. I've been doing all the things more recently. What, I'm not showing up on your timeline or something? I can see that because it's a lot of people trying to work against me right now. But I can't worry about it, to be honest. They don't like the light that I'm shining, but that's cool. I mean, I can't worry about it because I honestly feel like, you know, I know what I'm doing. You know, and I know why I'm doing it. Yeah, bastards. Oh, I love me a Taurus moon down. I think there's no better placement than a Taurus moon. The sweetest people I have ever met in my life. And they move with so much integrity. Oh, thank you. I feel like it's because I've done a lot of healing. To whoever said I like the clarity of your messages. I think when you've gone yourself, like you fully understand and you're not moving from this place of wounds, you know, like I have been a person who's moved from my wounds and it's never representative of me as a person. I always find myself having to go back and hold myself accountable or whatever the case may be. And so I needed to really look at myself. Oh yeah, my Taurus. So I have a Taurus Venus too. I have a Taurus Sun, Mercury, and Venus. And then I'm a Libra rising. And so a lot of Venetian energy over here. But yeah, it was like I had came to a place in my life where everything just was chaos. And I was being super self-sabotage, self-destructive, all these things. And I just was like, you know what? No, like if I keep saying that I'm a different person, I'm going to have to show up as the different person. And so I just started practicing and I just started, you know, moving back towards myself and looking at things from an honest place, being honest about what I needed. I stopped pleasing people altogether. Like I told my family no for 6 months because I wanted to see how long it was going to take me before I felt comfortable saying no. It took me 6 months saying no to feel comfortable saying no. That pissed me off even more than when I started because I was like, oh, everybody got me fucked up. I feel this bad. Fuck that. I do not do same day readings just because I wore myself out in trying to help people. And so now I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. And my schedule is booked for today. I actually think I'm booked out next week as well. But yeah, I will get people who hit me up be like, hey, I need an emergency reading. But I don't ever do that because, you know, I got to survive this too. And I'm one person. There's so many people who be reaching out to me. I wish I could be that available, you know, but I'm in this place of trying to find balance within myself as a practitioner too. And I think too, one thing I realized too is that sometimes I seem like the problem to other people because we have so many people who are not ethically practicing. Meaning like, they're not doing divination before they try to do work for you. They're not asking the spirits. Like it's like so much unethical stuff going on that like when I tell people, hey, this is what you need to do and it's simple, they get upset with me. And it's just like, well, I was coming to you because I needed an answer. I gave you the answer. The answer is in you. The answer is you. You need to sit with yourself. You need to stop running around trying to be everything to everybody, but they don't want those solutions. And so it be making me feel like, damn, like I get exhausted sometimes because I feel like I'm saying the same stuff to people, but it's just hard living in a distorted reality when you can see things very clearly. And not only that, I've already done the work. And so I'm not coming from a place of I haven't been there. I have absolutely lived through it. I'm telling you this is what works, but it's hard because there's a version of you, a lot of versions of you that don't want to accept that it could be that simple because you've only been taught to get things through force. You know, you've only been taught this one way, but that one way was taught to you to disembody you so that your worth could be placed somewhere else. But your worth is something that you inherently have. You inherently have it. You just don't see it. And so you think that something outside of you is supposed to be saving you or helping you or whatever. And it's like, no, you were the thing. You were the thing that was sent. You were the thing that was sent. You were the thing that was sent. You know, so it's like, I cannot wait until this, because we're going through a shift right now. Like the first will be last and the last will be first. Like we're going through that type of shift right now. So I'm just trying to keep making myself visible and do my part of like speaking up about what truths I'm picking up on. And I hope that y'all are doing the same too, you know, because like right now, disclosure really is about Uranus being in Gemini for the next 7 years. A lot more people are speaking their truth externally, outwardly, you know, and so a lot of people are just not keeping silent about the shit that they were keeping silent about before, you know. And so I think the truth really does set us free, and that we have as a society chosen silence, you know. And so that's why some of these predatory spiritualists and predatory just people in general have gotten away with doing what they have done. And it's because we have chosen silence and we have not been good about calling that shit out, because we think that calling the shit out is the problem. Because every time that we do call the shit out, people treat us like the truth is the problem, instead like the reaction is the problem, instead of the actual fucking cause being the problem. But that's because we live in a society full of narcissists that are avoiding accountability. They built an entire society so that men can avoid accountability, so that they don't have to own their impact, you know. And they thought that they were going to be able to transcend that karma by telling us and putting it in movies and putting it in our face. No, bitch. No, that's not how that works. Accountability is ownership. So you thinking because you tell us in a movie and we don't say anything, because the universe works off of silent acquiescence, you don't say anything, you accept it, right? If you don't openly reject something, you are accepting it. So you need to be openly rejecting it, right? But they taught you silence so that you don't openly reject it, right? So they created this whole motherfucking system because they thought that that was gonna absolve them of accountability. And no, a lot of people are going through spiritual court right now. I know, because I called down justice. Y'all should be calling down justice too. If y'all feel like some things have been unjust, call it down. Because you got to understand that when they say your darkness protects your light, they mean the unseen. Your spirit team, they protect your light. You are the conscious part. You are the light. They are protecting you. Which also means your internal truth, but your spirit team, your ancestors, your spirit guides, they're doing the licks. They're getting the licks back. You're not supposed to be you're supposed to be creating a safe environment for your truth to arise. They're handling the shit that's happening behind the scenes. That's one thing I had to do. One time a daemon told me my light is that powerful. Yeah, daemons are just intermediary spirits. The only reason why demons, whatever are bad because of the Bible. Because they were trying to disconnect us from the unknown. Because the West turned their back on death. Because what was happening over in Egypt is they were studying death. They were studying what happens. while you're alive, and that's what we call astral projection, because your consciousness separates from your body, right? And so the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, all of these ancient civilizations were studying the dead. They were studying the mysteries of life. Science, or the West, turned their backs on that. And that's why they went towards science. Well, if I can't prove it, it doesn't exist. They turned their back on the deathing process. The death process is natural because we're always going through a death and rebirth cycle at the same time. When something is dying, something new is being born. When something is being born, something old is dying, right? They tried to cut us off, cut us in half, so that we only focus on the good in life and we try to avoid the death part of life. Changing. That's what that is. Because what has to die is the things that are no longer serving you. We are avoiding changing. You know? So, yeah. Nah, you don't need to get your lick back. Your spirit team do that. And that's what they've been trying to tell me recently. And I don't like that, because I like a little chaos. I like a little don't threaten me with a good time, bitch. Especially if I wasn't messing with you. If I'm not messing with you, why is you over here messing with me? I keep my eyes on my own motherfucking paper. So if you sent for me, why would you be doing that? And I do baneful protection anyways. So the moment that somebody even thinks about harming me and they're going to move on that, my team is already on your motherfucking ass, because you got to understand, some of us are highly spiritually ranked. I have a whole royal guard around me. So you probably shouldn't have did that, but good luck getting them spirits off your ass. You know, don't come back trying to apologize now. But yeah, so many people who I feel like came from the church, and because they're trying to rebel against their parents, they went to magic, but they don't know the rules of magic. A lot of them were never taught magic. And so they just think that they go into it like a colonizer. And they think that, well, if I can't get it done by doing this, I'm just going to do magic to get it done. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. It will. But whatever you put out, you're going to have to experience, because whatever energy, because you're creating energy. When you're doing magic, you're creating energy. Whatever energy you create, you will have to eventually experience under tension, because you have to live what you create. But some of them don't believe in karma, because they just say, if I don't believe in it, it doesn't exist. Not when it comes to natural laws of the universe, right? Because you can only control what you create. We didn't create. We live inside of this, but there are natural laws to the universe. Well, some of us did create the universe, but that's a whole nother story. You know? But some of us live in delusion. We say, oh, well, if I just avoid it, it's not there. If I just avoid it, it's not there. Delusion. I literally saw that come to light last weekend. Okay, God, more spaces of truth. Pull back. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, is just create a space where I just share my truth. And then if y'all got a different truth or whatever it is, you know, y'all just showing y'all you can be visible in your truth, and don't give a fuck about how nobody else feels about it, because you're not convincing them of anything. You're not trying to prove anything. And so I get comments sometimes where it's just like, well, I don't believe that. I don't care what you believe, because I'm telling you the truth from my perspective right now. But my truth could be different 10 years from now. I don't care whether you can receive it or not. I only care that I say it, because I post for me. I don't post for other people. Even that post I made the other day about like understanding that whatever you've been through was part of your initiation. Like, I had to go back and watch that yesterday like 30 fucking times, because I was struggling with that. Not because y'all needed to see it, because I needed to hear it. Because I was about to go through something that I didn't know I was about to go through. Oh, that's why they geeking to figure out immortality. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of them, what they do is they try to immortalize themselves. And that's why we have celebrities, right? Because most of y'all don't realize that when you're at a concert, they are on a stage above you. Kind of like when you're at church, they're on a stage above you. Right? And so they're looking down at you, which means that they're on a pedestal and you're worshiping them. You're looking up, you're worshiping them. Right? And so some of them try to become these massive stars, because when they pass on and they pass away, they are immortalized. People are going to remember Michael Jackson for a long fucking time. Just like people remember Cleopatra and Nefertiti, and all of those are immortalized. And so it's like, yes, your spirit exists as the version of you as the person, but the persona you created also exists. And every time somebody pours energy into you, like for example, Beyonce, there's so many people who willingly give Beyonce their energy. You are making her more powerful every single time you send her energy. You know, so yeah, I literally told my mom that when I was 6. Oh shit. Sorry, it's been like 35 comments. Let me roll back up. I appreciate you. I'm truly embracing my spiritual community, currently integrated day by day, period. I love that for you. I have Lilith in my first house. Yeah, rebellious. Rebellious as spirit. I actually work with Lilith, and she is nothing to fucking play with. She literally told me, and I said this before, 111 on the clock. Yeah, I couldn't talk to you until you got some self-worth. Lilith, please, relax. Please, don't. But, she could be a little rare, but she be telling you the truth, but she just be like, oh my God, stand the fuck up. What are you talking about? Like, she's cussed me out too many times. My brother said something so outlined that ended up in jail on his birthday. Wow. It is all Taurus and you got some Scorpio. Yeah, I got a Scorpio moon. Yep. And my second house is in Scorpio, with Pluto in Scorpio. So yeah, I got a lot of, and then my sun is in the 8th house, and the 8th house is Scorpio. So my sun and my Venus are both in Scorpio in the 8th house with my north, no, not my north node. My sun and Venus are in 8th house in Scorpio with, there's something else in the 8th house, but it's like Neptune or Uranus or something like that. Sorry, I'm sweating. That was true. I had to accept that I am the chaos, but the transformation don't come from me unless you want to get God. Not for real. And that's what happened. And I got on here and I talked about like 2 weeks ago that somebody had attacked me and I didn't know what was going on because the person was talking in my head and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, you attacked? No, the fuck I didn't. The only way that you could have got attacked by me is if you sent for me. Did you send for me? Because that's the only way you could be attacked by me. Because I don't hex people or curse people. I don't, why the fuck? I don't got the energy to do that. And I feel like sometimes people be living in, like people will be in competition with you and you will not know that they're in competition with you. And they make up stories in their head to try to justify what they're doing, right? And I feel like this person was in competition with me and didn't realize that I was not competing until this thing happened because I was oblivious to what was happening. Because I don't give a fuck what somebody else has going on with them. If I'm going to do magic, it's going to be to get my confidence together, to get my self-worth together, to emotionally heal, right? It's not going to have anything to do with another motherfucker because I could care less what you hoes got going on. I don't care. Life is hard enough that I got to worry about me and you. The fuck do I look like doing that? Bitch, I'm stressed over here. I don't got time to be looking at what you got going on. I have been in a place of survival my entire life. I am trying to find peace. Why do you think that I would be fighting with you on purpose? Like, what? Anyways, I learned this young. I just sit back and fold my arms. Yeah, LOL, I'm scared. I have intense shadow work. Yeah, I mean, it was intense for me too. Like, my family has a very dense energy, especially the women, because it was so much sexual trauma. And I feel like the women in my family went in fully into their masculine. And then here I come and I'm just like, love, oh my gosh, I love every day. Just get your ass the fuck up off of me. That was like my whole life was just like, they just didn't know how to love, you know? Are you going to get it back? And sometimes more, oh, I don't have to get nothing back. My spirit team told me to trust that they have my back. They got me in the spirit. I handle the physical. I got them in the physical. They got me in the spirit. You know, and so it's about trusting the relationships that you built, because that's what I mean when I say that people go into like doing like engaging with the earth. That's really what magic is. You're engaging with Earth's life force energy and you're directing her energy, right? And so damn, I forgot what I was about to say. Wait, what did you say? Oh yeah. And so you need to trust in the relationships that you built in the spiritual realm, because you don't live in the spiritual realm. Are you a part of the spiritual realm? Yes. Do you have spiritual experiences? Yes, because you're both things. But when your eyes are open, you are here in the conscious awareness. And so they handle what's unseen, right? That's the whole point of having a spiritual team around you, is because they handle what's happening behind the scenes in the spiritual realm. You got to trust them to do that. You just want to make sure that you building a relationship, though, that you sitting down and you talking to your ancestors, that you sitting down and you, if you do a spell, that spell is an offering to the roots, the spirit of the roots that are going to be helping you, because it's Earth's energy. And once you start engaging with Earth's energy, you start engaging with everything, because you are Earth in motion. So it's really like you engaging with another version of yourself to get what you want, you know? But I digress. Yeah, you can't override the laws of the universe, baby. You're very welcome. Yeah, and I feel like no one can silence you, though. That's the thing. You know, the thing is, I feel like I've been silenced so many times. Nobody can silence you. You are choosing to let their truth exist and your truth not exist. And oftentimes, because we think only one truth can exist at once, if they're louder with the truth or more intimidating or whatever it is, we just collapse on our truth and just to keep the peace. Don't do that no more. Your truth deserves the same space as their truth. Just because they louder and they can get 10 people to agree with them, yeah, all 10 of y'all motherfuckers are stupid. Like, that's what I mean. Yeah, just because you got 10 of them to agree with you, don't mean that y'all right. It means you're all stupid. And I be trying not to be like that. I be trying not to say that. But no, dumber and dumber. That's what's happening, you know? But it don't have to mean that your truth is wrong. And multiple truths can exist at one time too, though, you know? Like, it don't have to be one or the other, but that didn't come along until Christianity, because they wanted to control the truth. And so if they get you to believe that only one truth can exist at once, you have to pick something. You have to pick a side instead of realizing that there's nuance in every situation, you know? And so it was a setup from the beginning. I had such a bad day at work. Bosses on my back. Quit. You know, if you're not happy there, you got to be at work more than you at home. If you're miserable at work, you need to choose something else, especially if you burnt out, because burnout means that you're going in the wrong direction. Yep. Speak more about what, Monty? If it don't resonate, don't negotiate. Facts. Yeah. Oh, hell no. But I like the music, though. Oh, sorry. It's so many messages coming through. I'm trying to figure out where we at. Hold on. What's your opinion on Sagittarius? My mama was a Sagittarius, and my degree of my sun sign is also the degree of Sagittarius. One thing I will say about Sagittarius is I think they're very emotionally intelligent. I think that they're going to be the realest person on your team. They're the person who's going to say the truth regardless of who the fuck and how the fuck somebody else feels about it. They're very honest people. Except for if they're in a relationship with you, they can be a little aloof, meaning that they have commitment issues, you know. And so I feel like what they'll do is like keep things surface level and kind of keep you on a string until they really like somebody. When they really do like somebody, then they'll let them in. But they are kind of like the intuitive child, to the point where they kind of need guidance throughout life, because sometimes they don't want to do the work and they can stay very surface level, even though they're the energy of the higher mind. They are the energy of depth. Sometimes that when they living in that masculine energy, or they're trying to protect themselves from danger, they don't go deep and they don't do a lot of self-reflecting, and it can make them emotionally volatile. And so I feel like they're emotionally intelligent, but not emotionally mature all the time. And so I look at them as very intuitive. They're exploratory. They want to expand. They want to try new things. They're spontaneous. They're all of these things. But they're not. Sometimes when they feel justified in something, they think that it means their anger being directed at somebody else is justified. Because I will say that I feel like Sagittarius misdirects their anger all the time as well. So if they're angry about something, like, anybody could catch a stray. I also feel like, damn, it was something I was about to say that was really important. Oh, I also feel like Sagittarius really, really love the people around them, and Sagittarius will make themselves the sacrifice to show it for other people. And I don't like that, you know, because I think that Sagittarius is really loyal and really does care about people, really does love people really, really hard, so much so that it'll be the sacrifice for whatever the situation is, because they're always going to be the one that you can call when some shit done went down. You know, like, they're always going to be the one who has your back, but sometimes they will throw themselves on the fucking knife for you and not care about what happens to them. And that is just a little, why would you be doing that, friend? So yeah, I stopped listening to her for years, but she doesn't have empowering music. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, she ate me the fuck up. She ain't leave nothing a chance. I knew it. You're too dark in a beautiful way. I said she's loving this. Where's the Scorpio? What happened? Say no with no guilt. Yeah. What helped say no with no guilt? No, I had the guilt. I didn't not have the guilt. I very much so had the guilt. But I just knew that I wasn't doing anything wrong. Guilt kind of comes up when you feel obligated to somebody, you know, or obligated to something, or feeling like you should have done something else, like you did something wrong. That's where guilt comes from. I know that me choosing me is not wrong, but I've not chosen myself so much that my body thinks that me choosing me is unsafe. And so I just had to keep practicing choosing me until it felt safe again. And it took me about 6 months, you know. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people are attracted to me because of my darkness, not because of the light part of me. They're attracted to me because of the Scorpio part of me, which I'm okay with, you know, because I love Scorpio, my Scorpio energy down. So, yeah, you came in just in time to help. Then remember love, period. Are you going to continue your podcast? I just finished the last episode. I'm supposed to be putting these lives on my podcast, but to be honest, y'all, I would rather just go live. Like, I literally feel like that's so much of a better experience. I think a lot of people are going the podcast route because that's what's better for. They want the whole Shazam, and I feel like sometimes it's a part of the performance that they put on. I don't need that. I need my phone, I need y'all, and I need my truth. That's it. Keep it simple. You know, like, I don't want to do the glitz because I don't want to be a content creator. Like, I am a content creator by default. You know, it's like I was speaking up because I was depressed and I was coming out of something, and I was trying to reach people who I felt like maybe needed me. And that's what I was talking about. If y'all didn't see the podcast that I was on, it was called Let's Get Woo Woo by Vanessa B. What I was saying on there is, like, I didn't set out to be a content creator. I literally was trying to save people from killing themselves because I had been depressed and anxious my entire life. And there's been multiple times where I was in that dark place, and I was just like, you know, maybe I could say something to somebody. Maybe I can put something into words for somebody who can't put it into words in a way that I could put it into words, you know? And so, like, that's what started all of this. And then with the podcast, like, my followers asked me to do the podcast, and I'm like, okay, let's just try. And I did. And I to be honest, I hated that shit. I hated every single second of it. I was burning myself out, but that was me trying to appease other people and please other people. I don't need to please anybody else. I please myself, and y'all get to benefit from it. I speak my truth, and y'all get to benefit from it. But I'm not doing it for you. I love that you get to benefit from it because I love people. I love y'all down. I don't have to know you to love you. That's the type of person I am. I think we all deserve respect, and we all deserve acknowledgement. You know, like I think we all do. But everything I do is for me. It's for the little girl in me who didn't have help, who didn't have elders, who didn't have guidance, who didn't have nurturance, you know, who didn't have that. And that shift in perspective changed everything for me, because then it didn't feel like labor anymore. Like it doesn't feel like I'm obligated to do this to help people. You know, like, I'm not coming from that place. I'm coming from this place of, this is my truth. You know, I'm going to share it. I'm going to put it out there because I think that we have the ability to plant seeds from other people. What I might have a piece of the puzzle, you might have the rest of the piece, or they might have the rest of the piece. I'm gonna just put it out there. And, you know, because I think we are starved for different perspectives in this society. Everybody's just repeating the same things, having the same talking points, doing the same. Like, we need people who actually have an opinion or a perspective from lived experience to talk up more, because a lot of people are just talking from fucking concepts and what they think is going on, but they haven't even lived it. You know, like, I even seen somebody the other day who was doing astrology, and it was like, yes, so if you have the 5th house in this is what it looks like for you. And it's like, but you just said your 5th house was in this, so why are you teaching people about a 5th house in this when you don't have a 5th house in that? So you know it as a concept, as information, but you don't know it from an intuitive place, because you can never know it from an intuitive place because you don't have a 5th house in Cancer. You know, it's like we look at life in such a strange way, is what I'm gonna say. And we think that we know everything because we're obsessed with information. We're obsessed with knowing. But the truth is, you don't know something until you live it. It don't matter how many books you fucking read, how many fucking podcast episodes you watch, how many times you scroll TikTok and you listen to people's hot takes. You don't know what you know until you live what you know. But so many of us are spiritually bypassing. We think we need to know through information because that is what the West decided. They decided information over intuition. And that's why everything that has to do with spirituality is taboo if it's not Christianity. They want you talking to one spirit, Jesus. Jesus is the only spirit that matters. Why? Because then you pour all your energy into this entity that they created and they control, and they siphon your energy. Just like they hoarding the money. They taking all the money so they can control access, but they had you tie your work to how much money you can make based on how they treat the homeless people who are not making money, right? How we treat people in this country who are not making money is crazy, but it's because our worth is tied up in money and in having. And because they got you to tie your worth in money and in having, then all they need to do is control all the resources and they control you. You know, like it is a setup. It is a setup. And so we need people who have different perspectives or have different ways of looking at life, and people who are not moving from their fucking wounds, people who have actually went through the fucking process. We need those people speaking up. We don't need people who are afraid to release their fucking ego, who living from this place of fear and saying shit with their chest and they're thinking that it's right because they feel slighted by somebody, or thinking that it's justified because they feel slighted by somebody. No, you know, you still have to look at both sides of the situation. You still have to reach back for compassion, because compassion is what keeps you human. You know, the truth without compassion is just another fucking weapon. And people just, I've been feeling like people just don't realize that. And so I'm trying to create a space where, or open up a space where we could look at something differently, where we could have a different perspective, where we could critically think, where we could explore the unknown. You know, because I feel like that's where we be fucking up at, you know, like we are obsessed with knowing. You don't need to know everything. You are literally the spiritual world knows. Really, your body remembers. Earth remembers. Your body remembers. If you living up here, you ain't gonna fuck, because you don't remember with your mind. You remember with your body. You remember through feeling through something. You don't remember up here. This is not the job, but this is only supposed to help you to logically organize so you can express. It's not supposed to find solutions to your problems, because you're the fucking answer. You have to feel into things and feel what feels true and move based off of that. And when you move based off of that, then you'll know. But we keep trying to avoid the living part, and that's why Spirit calls us the living dead. That's why Spirit calls us the living fucking dead. Because we are embodying the spirits, the frequencies, instead of experiencing them. Instead of letting them teach us. You know? Because that's what the spirits are supposed to do. They've lived the experience. They've already passed on from here. They've already anchored back into the truth. They can help you to understand the truth. But we too busy fighting the fucking spirits because we are terrified of the unknown. Because that's the climate or the environment that the West created, because they were terrified. They were cowards. They ran away. They got scared. They ran away and they said, no. If we can't prove it with science, if we can't prove it with our mind, it is not true. Your mind is 10% of who you are. They ran away in fear, so they built a society based out of fear. They didn't want to be held accountable. They wanted to be able to do and explore and do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And that's why America acts the way that it acts. And why we think we can go up into somebody else's country and create a story of what we think is happening. Oh yeah, they need our help. So we can go and extract what the fuck we need from them. Because we don't want to be accountable. You know? So I'm just trying to like create a different soul economy for those of us who think differently. And who process life differently, or who want to process life differently. Because I was in a place of pain and suffering. I fell into the trap like everybody else, but I grew up in an unconventional home though. And because my mama was kind of like the black sheep, I didn't never just go with the flow. Like my mama was a rebellious spirit. You know, I never just went with it. I've peeped everything my whole life. I know exactly why everybody in my life acts the way that they act. I notice everything. Ain't shit getting past me. You know? And I think at first I had so much compassion for them, but I had no compassion for myself. And then I had to go through the process of having those tough conversations, figuring out where I was abandoning myself in those relationships, telling people how they impacted me. You know, because again, we live in a society that's not being held accountable. We live underneath a government that's not being held accountable. And so we think accountability is a problem, or we think accountability is dangerous because nobody's fucking doing it. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that we're choosing something else that obviously isn't working because everybody feels like they're in survival mode and everybody feels like their safety can be taken away at any second. You know? Yeah, reflecting. They don't want to reflect. They want to just keep moving forward because they've confused movement for evolution. Just because you're fucking moving doesn't mean you're evolving. You know? And that's the problem. And they confuse separation for sovereignty. You just need to go and be by yourself. You just need to separate from everybody else, and that's what makes you sovereign. No, the fuck it doesn't. You're not free if you just create a prison that people can't get into. That doesn't make you fucking free. It just makes you isolated. You know? Just makes you isolated. But so many of us only felt safe when we were isolated from people, and so we choose isolation. And then when we come back into community with people, because we've been in isolation so long, we can't even, we don't feel safe because we have not been processing anybody else's energy but ours. And so we get into a situation with somebody else and we start co-regulating with them, and it feels dangerous because we've only had to regulate our own shit. We hadn't had to co-regulate, because every time you're talking to other people, you're co-regulating with them. You're regulating whatever the dominant frequency is, what's regulating the situation. You know? I think isolation is helpful, but in increments. Like, everything in life needs balance. There are people who have literally went to work and came home. Like my auntie, for example, when I was a kid, she had 6 kids. Every single day I would watch her get up for work in the morning, go to work. As soon as she came home, she went in her room, she shut her door. We didn't hear nothing from her. Unless she was coming out to say, wash these motherfucking dishes, do this, whatever the fuck. And then she would get up and do the same thing every single fucking day. And so she grew, so all of her kids are emotionally unavailable because she was emotionally unavailable. She was in the home, but she was not there, right? A lot of people will do that. They choose isolation because that's the only time they felt safe, or the only time they didn't feel responsible for other people. Because I feel like my isolation had to do with me feeling responsible for everybody, and me having to constantly be the one who keeps the peace and make sure that everybody's in harmony. And every time something's going wrong, it's Taja, can you go do this? Can you go do that? Can you know, being everybody's fucking doormat. And so I was like, I don't want to be needed. Let me fucking go across the country. Now your bitches can't call me. You know, I did a little bit of escapism with my shit. You know, because I have an open root, which means I don't feel free when I feel like expectations are placed on top of me, and I feel like everybody was pushing their whole weight on top of me because, oh, Taja figured out, Taja do it, Taja no the fuck she won't. Actually, and how fucking dare you tell a motherfucker I'm gonna do some shit for them when ain't near of you motherfuckers called me and asked me shit. Why'd you volunteering me for shit? It wasn't enough that you want me to do your shit. Now you want me to do their shit. Fuck y'all. You know? But at the same time, I was not saying no. And when you do not say no, you accept. So many of us feel powerless in our own life because we don't know how to stand up for ourselves. We don't know how to say no. We don't know how to be in conflict with other people. Conflict is how people know where your boundaries are. Conflict are how people know what you need in relationships. You have to say no. You know, and if somebody is impacting you, you have to tell them. If you need help, you have to open your mouth and you have to say something. We expect just because we understand, other people understand, but don't realize that we're choosing silence, and that's the issue. You did not tell them that you needed help. You told them that you was about to go get your nails done. Because they didn't send the money, you feel some type of way. Why? You didn't tell them that you wanted them to pay for it. You told them you was about to get your nails done. Well, you're the man. You're supposed to be protected. Y'all just met 2 weeks ago. Y'all just met 2 weeks ago. Spooky. But that's the culture we created. That's the culture we created. That's the dynamics we created. You know, and nobody's saying anything about it because nobody wants to go against the grain. Fuck the grain. The grain has got us to a place of pain and suffering. Why are we still choosing those same things? And we're going deeper and deeper and deeper into it. You know, I read something the other day that was like decentering men. No, it wasn't. It was a post. This girl was like, decentering men is not hating men. And there's a lot of women who are on this whole kick of decentering men right now, when honestly, they just hate men. They're just hating men, right? Is that justified? Yeah, in some way, you know, because men have predominantly made us feel unsafe. But decentering men has to do with you learning how to stand up for yourself, you learning how to say no, you learning how to not abandon yourself when it comes to men because you want to be chosen. It has nothing to do with you blaming men for everything that you've been through. It has to do with you taking inner responsibility for the role that you played in that shit. In the times that you collapsed on your truth because you wanted to be in community. It's about you, yes, taking back accountability for your life. It has nothing to do with you hating men, because that's you being in blame consciousness. Blame consciousness is the lowest level of consciousness you can be here, because it's what happens when you're in survival mode and you are wounded. You need to blame somebody else. You need to perceive somebody else as the threat. When the whole time your fucking ass allowed it. When the whole time you was getting insight, you was getting dreams, you was getting whatever. You knew something was wrong and you chose not to trust that shit. You chose to trust what was coming out that man fucking mouth, even though you went through his motherfucking phone and you seen that he was a liar. We don't want to be accountable because we don't want to hold our own fucking bag. Because again, the West has created an environment where you don't have to be accountable. You know? And so decentering men has nothing to do with you hating men. Just say that you hate men. Just say that you feel like men are the reason why X, Y, and Z happened. But that is you refusing accountability. That is you trying to relieve yourself from the unprocessed pain that you have. Because again, you got to understand, negativity is unprocessed pain. Negativity is unprocessed pain. Reactivity is unprocessed shadow. Envy, comparing yourself to other people, feeling like you should be somewhere else that you're not right now, that comes from all the times you abandon yourself and you abandon your gifts. And you put that shit together, refusing or avoiding to do the inner work and neglecting your own potential, you're projecting chaos now. Now you're projecting chaos. Wisdom. Thank you. Wisdom, yes. Not knowledge, because we are obsessed with gaining knowledge when the goal is wisdom. Knowledge and intuition, or information and intuition, come together to give you wisdom. The application of knowledge and understanding. Information and intuition. Applying information and intuition. Information is 10%. Intuition is 90%. How it made you feel, 90%. Then you need to move according to that. That is the wisdom. Wisdom is the action that you take because of the understanding. Most of us are obsessed with just getting the information because we think knowing is the end fucking goal. Because knowing in some way keeps us safe. Because we don't like the unpredictable. That's what this handy dandy notebook was saying at the beginning of this live. We don't like unpredictable things. So if we know, then we can feel safe. That is the illusion of safety. You having the information is not the same as you living that experience under tension. You don't know what you know until you do what you know, until you live, until you practice. If you have not put it into practice, you don't know what you know. And we live in a society full of people who have a bunch of fucking opinions about shit that they have not lived. Right? And that's why we get people coming online saying, well, single mothers do this and single mothers doing that, or caring about single people and what single people got. If you're not single and you've never been single, why the fuck is you talking about single people business? If you are not black, how the fuck you going to tell us how black people feel? You don't live a black experience. So how the fuck you going to tell black people how they feel and how they should feel? If you don't have kids, you don't understand how a parent feels. Now, I will say, if you raised your younger siblings, you do understand. If you were the big cousin in your family and you raised those kids so them parents can go off and party and do whatever the fuck they was doing, you do understand on some level. But everything else, you don't understand because you have not lived it. It's like your friend coming to you telling you about the relationship problems, but you've never been in a relationship. Why the fuck are you giving them advice when you've never been in a relationship? You know, but that's how our society is geared, because science is based out of theories and concepts. A lot of times those motherfuckers are wrong. A lot of times they are wrong. And we don't find out to 5, 10, 11, just how recently they told us, oh, sorry that we told you that the egg was the problem and that women are the ones who have the biological clock. We're actually finding out that it's men. And that if there's a birth defect in your child, it has to do with the men's semen. It doesn't even have to do with the egg, because the egg stays the same. And oh yeah, the egg is actually choosing, not the sperm, like the videos we showed you in school. Those motherfuckers don't know. They're pretending to know. They're pretending to know. And they're giving it to you as if it's a fucking fact. And they putting people on these pedestals with these Nobel Peace Prizes for some shit that don't even fucking make sense. For some shit that they can't even prove. But the whole point was for them to prove. No, they're going to prove, they're going to attempt to prove it. If they can't prove it, then they're just going to convince you that they know. Because they don't like not knowing, right? That's the whole point of them leaving Europe. They didn't like not knowing. They didn't like the unknown. So they said, I'm going to go try to find answers. That was the fragment. They fragmented. And then they built a whole society around the fragmentation instead of processing their fucking trauma. Because they were traumatized. They were killing them for not converting over to Catholicism or whatever the religion was up there. They were killing them. The people who came over here were the Protestants. They were hunting them down and killing them so they did not feel safe, but then they built a whole society out of not feeling safe. And when you don't feel safe, you can never rest. You can never rest. And that's why we live in a society that is addicted to going. And anytime they want to rest, they feel guilty. It's kind of like the shit with Diddy. He could never rest because he always felt in danger. Right? And so he had to keep doing things. He had to keep thinking that people was after him. And he had to keep setting people up and doing all these things because he was living in a place of fear. And he was trying to protect himself. See, that's the problem with living from a place of trying to protect yourself from something instead of going after what you actually do fucking want. Because when you're trying to protect yourself from something, you got to keep up the facade. It's like lying. Once you lie, you got to remember your lie. You got to remember that shit, and you got to keep that shit up. You got to keep maintenance on it because you're not moving from an honest place, right? But when you actually move from your truth, you're moving, and you don't have to remember anything because it's your fucking truth, you know? But that's the problem with the West. That's the fucking problem. Yeah, it's like lying. Licensed to treat people, most of which you don't. Yes, therapists. I can't tell you how many clients I have had that were therapists. And not even that. One of the people I was closest to growing up with, me and her are not close anymore, but went to school for human studies and family, whatever. She got her master's degree and everything and cries at night and can't figure out why nobody wants to stay around her. And it's because she compartmentalizes everything. So you gonna show it, but therapy ain't actually meant to help you. To be honest, I don't think therapy is meant to help you. I think therapy is meant to put a band-aid on the problem. And that because therapists can't actually practice in the way they want to practice. No, there's rules and parameters they have to follow. When it comes to them actually wanting to help somebody, instead they would rather lock them up. They would rather put them in a mental institution instead of actually fucking helping them. But I digress. It's some therapists who do like somatic therapy, PTSD type of therapy, and like some therapists that use like holistic stuff and astrology. That's not the therapist I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Western therapists. A lot of times they're just sitting there and observing what you're going through, which sometimes is enough for you to just talk about it. And then they're guiding you a little bit. They're bringing to your awareness some things that you haven't noticed yourself. But I think America itself is a Ponzi scam. I think it's a scam, all of it. And that's why there's so many fucking scammers in this bitch, because everybody's pretending to be something instead of actually being something. And because everybody feels the pressure to pretend, they start losing their fucking mind. Because they live their whole life for pleasing other people. So who the fuck is pleasing you? It's self-neglect. You trying to make sure that everybody else is comfortable with what you're doing, especially your parents. Why the fuck is your parents deciding what you do with your life? It's your life. They got a chance at their life. Now they want you to be #1 draft pick in the NFL. Bitch, you couldn't even do that. Why the fuck you putting that shit on me? I don't even like football. Like, what the fuck? But that's the reality we live in. Is a whole bunch of people who expect you to pretend. And we don't realize that pretending and performing is shame. It's chronic fucking shame. Shame says something is wrong with me. And so you, instead of being who you are, you try to be something else to appease other people, to make it look like you belong. When you know deep fucking down inside, you don't belong with them people. You don't. I hated school. I was forced to go to college, then caught herpes when I stepped out there trying to be myself. Yeah, see? But you got to be careful. And the reason why I say you got to be careful is because one, if you caught something like herpes, your womb needs to be healed, because it means that your womb was out of alignment. Okay. What's interesting is, like, if you go into like E11, right, which is like African spirituality, whatever, I got a reading from them and they told me that when I'm out of alignment, black magic happens, right? When I'm moving out of my shadow, black magic happens. I got my ass beat by black magic in these last like 7 years. But I have someone else who was in a similar situation as you, and she went and got an E5 reading as well, and it said that when she's out of alignment, that happens, you know. And so there are spiritual systems that can actually help you to identify like what the physical thing that comes along with you being out of alignment. And so once you get yourself back aligned with your truth, a lot of times that resolves itself, which looks like cleaning your womb. You probably come from a family with a very, very dense maternal womb, which could have been women who were raped, or women who did not have autonomy over their body. Because if your womb does not have consent, meaning like sometimes we will consent to something even though our body is saying no. Like, meaning like, oh, I don't want to have sex with him, but I'm going to have sex with him because this is my boyfriend. Like that out of obligation type of shit, you know, like feeling like we have to do it. Right? If your womb does not consent to it, your womb is going to hold all that energy in, you know? And so like some of us, especially me, like I come from a family that like every woman before me was raped. And I'm talking about 4 generations of women, you know, and like multiple times within their life. They didn't have autonomy, raped by their husbands, raped by people on the street. Like it was just a lot, you know, and like when it trickled down, it just became more violent, more violent, more violent. You know, and so that's something that if nobody ever looks at it, it's in your epigenetics. That's why we need to understand DNA. We don't understand how DNA works. It is a storage facility of information. And so if nobody looks at it, nobody acknowledges it, it just gets passed down to the next person, and then you get the next person shit on top of that shit, and then next, and then next, and then next, and then next, and then next. You know? And so somebody has to come through and look at it, because when somebody puts attention on it, it can clear. We can move it, right? We can move it. And that's what I feel like my spirit team really fuck with me, because I've cleared so much trauma from my lineage that wasn't even my shit. But I was feeling it in my body because it was somebody who came before me shit. And you're not separate from your ancestors. They blood courses through your fucking veins. You were made of them. You were made of them. Just how like God makes something in his image, your ancestors made you in their image. And so that means you inherit more than they fucking face and they eye color. You inherit whatever they did not get to integrate. And we have ancestors who were enslaved. A lot of them didn't get a chance to process. They were always under the threat of violence. You get the opportunity to process because you're not under them same circumstances. And so the best thing you could ever do for your ancestors is honor them by healing. Because however you feel is how they felt. It's just that they could not speak it in the way that you could speak it. Because it was not safe for them to speak it. They were under threat of danger. Because after enslavement happened, women were still enslaved. Men got free. Women did not get free. Women did not get free. We just got put into marriage. Right? We just became a baby making factory to continue their legacy when their legacy cannot be continued. Okay? No child is a man's legacy, because they don't, that's the whole shit that we got. It's womb envy. Men hate women because they do not play a part in the creation process like they want to play a big enough part. Your whole entire skin is your mama. Yeah. If you are a girl, you are continuing your mother's legacy. And so you are meant to heal her shit. But if you are a boy, your sperm, which is intelligence, actually contains your mother's karma, your mother's story. It's in your sperm. And so there is no being your daddy's son. You're always your mother. Because you are created in the image of the God that created you. Who pushed you out? It wasn't that man. You're created in the image of the God who broke in and held you until you became something. You know? But I digress. Okay? I'm going to go smoke some weed. So, I love you. But I got to go. Because I got a date with myself before I take a little session with my client. Well, not my clients, but my mentees. And so I'm going to go have a doobie and have an amazing Friday. And so happy Venus Day. I love y'all. I hope that this was enjoyable. This will be on YouTube later. So please, if you want to go back and watch the full episode, please do, because I started off with my channeled messages. But yeah, thank you for coming. And thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Masterclass, yeah. I feel like a lot of my lives are freaking master classes. Hey, Brianna. I hope you're doing well, my love. I'm on a break. Let me go for a walk. Thank you, big cousin. You're welcome, my love. Time to binge watch you now, period. Love that for you. There's some good shit in there. Yes, well, I was just going to say that women are often having babies with that man's mother. Yes. Yes, you were having babies with that man's mother. Yes, friend. Yes. 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 It's terrible. It's really terrible. I got a job, Taj. Yay! I'm so excited for you. That's great news, friend. I feel like it's been a long time coming. You got that. I hope it's something you like. If not, then it's just only temporary. It's okay. Get your coin. Get your money on. What was that show you were talking about last live? Avatar: The Last Airbender. What was it about? Give me a little bit more information. Because I'll be talking about a lot of shows. I love me a TV show. I love a little analysis, paralysis. Black Witches. Black Witches. I think Black Witches. Oh, I can't send you to the person I went to. She be scamming. That was something I found out later on. A lot of people I went to caused me trauma. So I don't even want to send you over there, because I only feel like the reason why she responded to me is because she realized I had a platform. And so it was like a danger of me exposing her. And if I say something, then it's going to be like, oh, this is real. She already had allegations before she changed her name, and then changed her name again, and all of these things. So unfortunately, friend, I wish I had somebody I can send you to, because I definitely would. But I'm definitely not sending you to no motherfucking fraud. Yes, I love the OA. I actually seen that it was supposed to be coming back. Like, did y'all see that the cast were posting about it? And it's exactly 7 years, just how it was in the TV show from the time. So I think that they might be relaunching it. So listen, your video has been important, especially during the retrograde bar for bar period. Thank you. Yeah, so if they bringing it back, like after 7, I'm not lying, friends. I'm not lying. I seen it the other day, and like the cast was posting about it and posting like little hints and stuff. And like, it was multiple cast members all on the same day, which I think was July 7th or something. Which was like a date that was in the show. And so I think that they might be rebooting it. If they do, it would be in November. Because there's another date in the show. So it was like 2 potential dates that they could do it. Hey, Bill. So if they do, I'm down for that. Because why would you just end that like that? Like, why would you do that? You know, I love that show so much. And I miss it. I feel like, I don't know if y'all ever seen Altered Carbon, but Altered Carbon is also a really good show. It's on Netflix. but it's kind of about like humans integrating with AI, which I feel like is where they trying to like push us to. Oh, it's called 08. Oh, I don't know, because what you were saying about the black witches though, like it's a TV show with black witches. I think I might have been telling you about my book. Was I telling you about my book that I'm writing? Because otherwise I don't know, because I don't even know a show with black witches. Black witches? Black witches. Fuck, I don't know. I'm happy you said what you said about, oh shit, about that person. I was getting that same vibe, but still tuned in. Yeah. A lot of them is about to come to a ending. Midnight Gospel. Oh yes, Midnight Gospel is a good one. But I'm trying to think black witches though. Like black witches. And I watched all of The Flash. Oh, see, I probably need to watch that too. Another episode with Compassion. Tuned in, unfollowed on all platforms. Yeah. American Horror Stories, no. Lovecraft Country, no. Not that. I don't know what I was talking about. Like, I'm really trying to think. I'm drawing a blank. Like when I say ain't nothing going on in my mind, ain't nothing going on in my mind. And usually I could pick up on something, you know, like or channel something, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna be I'm writing a book though, and I mean I guess you could consider it to be like witchy, but you were specifically talking about the episode with Compassion. Compassion. Nope. There's nothing there. Compassion. Oh no, you talking about Midnight Gospel. So Midnight Gospel, episode 5 is about the annihilation of joy. And so we was talking about like you really having to have compassion for other people. And so like what you'll see in that episode is like he keeps trying to do it all by himself. He keeps trying to get to the place by himself, and he's not like having compassion for the people around him or telling them like, hey, this is the way out, like bringing other people along on a journey. And so it just really teaches you that it just, I don't know, kind of shows you like the journey of like life and death, you know, and every single time they weigh his heart against the feather, like it's just really interesting. I think that there's 1,000 different perspectives you can get from the show, but you should watch it. Like it's a show that you're supposed to watch on shrooms, because it's like if you watch it on shrooms, it's gonna be a crazy ride. But I watched this over. It's on Netflix, y'all. But it's a really good show. Like I couldn't get, like episode 1 was not the best to me. Like episode 1 kind of confused me a little bit. I think a little time needed to pass for me to be able to digest episode 1. But every single episode after that, a banger. A fucking banger. Yes. But I love Midnight Gospel though. Like I love shows like that in general that just kind of give you like a, like that make you like analyze things. Like I like to like channel while I'm like watching TV shows, because I think everything is like intuitive information. And so yes, I'm gaining information, but I'm also using my intuition, you know, because we're both things, right? What's some other shows you like? Well, one, I'm a lover girl. Okay, so you got to know that about me, is that I'm a lover girl. Recent shows that I watch is like this one show, Off Campus. It's on Netflix. It's also another one called After the First Year or Next Year, or something with year. Intergalactic was definitely good. Alter Carbon is a great one. I would say, what else do I be watching? I feel like it's hard to find a good show right now. Oh, right now, Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live series just dropped their second, their second season. So I'm in the middle of watching that. Shit, I wish I could pull up my phone so I could tell y'all. Because I'll be watching a lot of shit. Like I love TV. I love books. Like I be reading books. I'm in the middle of like 7 different books right now. Don't judge me, okay? Like sometimes it's doing it for me and sometimes it's not. Like sometimes I'm deep down a rabbit hole in the book, and sometimes I'm just kind of like bouncing around from different things. But yeah, Carol at the End of the World was great. Yeah, it's also a series called called London something. It's like London, I think, but it's like got Matthew, what's his name? He really just gives like he does the MC very well. Like I was like, okay, like he kind of fine. He got okay, I got it. So yeah. But also like Interview with a Vampire is good. But there's something on that first episode, meaning like there's an energy coming at you in that first episode. I don't know what it is about the Anne Rice, because Netflix did a deal with Anne Rice, and Anne Rice like wrote a lot of like witch books and like vampire books and like fantasy books. And for whatever reason, before I even knew that both of those shows were written by her, the only reason I know who it's written by is because I had to look it up. Before I knew that it was written by her, there was something like, it was an energy that I could not, like, as soon as I turned it on, I was like, hell fucking no, what the fuck is this? And then I turned on something else and I was like, hell no, what the fuck is this? And it turns out both of those shows are by her. Oh yeah, I love Vampire Diaries and the originals. Don't get me started, girl. And I watched Legacy. I watched it all the way through. I followed it through to the end. Also Revenge. Revenge is one of my favorite shows of all times. I don't know if y'all ever seen that, but it's a Shonda Rhimes show. Or not Shonda Rhimes. Is that her name? Shonda Lynn? Or whatever. I think her name is Shonda Rhimes. But Revenge, that was my motherfucking shit. How to Get Away with Murder was my shit. Scandal was my shit. I miss Thursdays. Thank God it's Thursdays. Like, I miss that so bad. But yeah, Revenge was so good. What's another? I love TV shows, y'all. I could go on for days and days and days about TV shows. But I do realize that I like science fiction because I am somewhat of a nerd. Like there's this energy inside of me that loves history and loves math and loves nerding out on shit. No, it's not Thursday today, but all of those shows used to come on Thursday night. Manifest was good too, but Manifest kind of lost the fucking plot. Towards the end, I was like, all right, bitch, wrap this shit up. You know, it kind of lost the plot. But anyways, I gotta go, y'all, because I got a client. I got a reading in like 30 minutes. And I would like to get high before it, because I'm not doing the reading myself. Somebody else. Once Upon a Time was good too. Yes. I'm not doing the reading myself. I'm just sitting in on readings. And yeah, love you. See you later. This will be on YouTube later, y'all. All right, bye.